It will do two things.
Well,
I do think that
15th of March 2010,
senior executives
2011, sorry.
pay will be at risk. A lot of
Scary
them will,
times, really.
Get the earnings back because they're good, and some of them will be
2011,
the pre-existing bonus pot. But I doubt
the year of the revolution.
That. And so yes, it
in
probably will
Japan,
come to a small degree.
uprising,
but probably more important, it will,
in the Arab world.
really get a conversation
People want to choose
about two
who they want
to
be their
what does it
presidents
mean
and
to
governors
lead this
and all that.
organisation well over the next
What
12
goes around
months?
comes
And
around, you know. It's
secondly,
like
that will give us a different conversation about public sector so-called fat cats.
Okay, we're running out of time. There's two more points I want to get in. I mean, Stephen Hester is arguably a civil servant.
The Japanese were whaling and everything, and moving icebergs, smashing them and everything, just a year ago. And
if he delivers, is that a good example
people,
of the payback, the earn-back scheme
Amnesty International got their dinghies, got up to the boats, and they were threatened with machine guns and stuff. And then suddenly you get a tsunami, you know. 70% of this earth is water, is ocean. If you don't respect the ocean, it's going to suck you up, man. No, I'm not saying that is the case, but there's a lot with only animals that, as I said before, that has destroyed this planet through belief systems and greed. That's it. Religion and greed. I'm just watching the news now, because everybody wants to see something go wrong. Like a car crash, and everyone stops and has a look, you know, wow. People most fascinated with death, you know, curiosity, morbid fascination, whatever you want to call it, you know.
Will Japan suffer a recession to add to its other woes, and will that impede attempts by the rest of the world to recover? Joining me now from New York is Dave Kansas, who's the global markets editor of the Wall Street Journal. They're still trading, Mr. Kansas, where you are. What's the market reaction so far?
Well, the market was down quite a bit this morning, Jeff. It was down 2.5%, almost 3% at the opening. But it's come back a little bit in the afternoon. There was some decent words from the Federal Reserve, and we're now down about 100 points on the Dow, about 1%.
Okay, it's Joel rather than Jeff. I'm sorry to disappoint. What are we expecting to hear from the Federal Reserve?
Yeah, people.
Well, the Federal Reserve came out today and said the economy in the U.S. remains on track, but as you mentioned, what's happening in Japan is probably going to have an effect in the U.S. and globally, and nobody really can ascertain or measure exactly what the impact from the Japan earthquake disaster and nuclear catastrophe will be, and I think there's still a lot of open questions about what's going to happen in the next few weeks and months.
Is there any particular companies that are seeing their shares sold?
Well, certainly Japanese companies, Hitachi, Toshiba. In the U.S., General Electric has exposure to the construction of the plants, the nuclear plants that have had the problems. There are also energy companies. Oil prices have really come back down because of fears of the global recovery. So big oil companies like BP, ExxonMobil, and Chevron have been in retreat. Those are some of the big stocks that we've seen moving lower here.
And has there been any political response? Here in the UK, Mr. Kansas, the government has sort of played down fears and anxieties about the nuclear accident in Japan. What's the American government's view? Is it of the view that we should be following Germany's lead?
Earthquake.
Well, I think the view here is going to be very conservative. There hasn't been a new plane built here since the late 70s when they did the 3 Mile Island accident. And I would say the political climate here is going to be tough once again for building any plants after what we've seen happen in Japan. Already a pretty tough challenge here to move forward. The plants has been talked about. The Obama administration has supported it in terms of trying to provide energy that is more green, has less emissions than fossil fuels. I think politically this is going to really make things challenging for the nuclear power industry.
There's been an enormous amount of upheaval. There is also still an enormous amount of uncertainty. People, to a certain degree, are making financial decisions blind, aren't they?
Yeah, to a large degree, yes. The people are comparing what happened in Japan to the 1995 Kobe earthquake, but by all accounts, this is a much more devastating disaster. It'll probably have a bigger impact on Japan's economy. Remember, Japan is the 3rd biggest economy in the world. It's a big technology exporter, big electronics exporter. There's going to be an impact
the year of
this
the revolution
disaster, and I think people really are struggling to measure what that impact will be. Economies in Western Europe and the U.S. Aren't going to show the signs of that impact right away.
People are tired of authoritarian powers.
So there is a bit of blind
They're
selling,
prepared
running
to
to
die,
safety,
fight
trying to
them
buy
down,
U.S.
these corrupt
treasuries,
politicians.
for instance. because it is very difficult to figure out what the overall impact
We'd all be
will
in
be.
jail
Okay,
if they're
Dave
caught
Kansas live for us in New York. Thank you very much.
doing what they're doing. But not because
how little we know about how serious this accident is.
they're politicians.
The more information
They
we
get
get,
off the
of course,
hook.
the more clearer that will be. I'm Joel Hills.
They should all be
This
in
is
jail,
Jeff
these
Randall Live.
politicians
Coming
that
up
run the
after the
countries,
break,
especially
the
England.
spy scandal that wasn't. How can Renault recover its reputation?
Who gives a fuck about Red? I'm on. Renault, the erect. Yeah, nuclear explosions. It's like one of those films, isn't it? The end of the world. I'm laughing because it's so sad. I feel sorry for those people who've got kids. You know, there might be no world in 10 years' time.
Time ago.
Unique insights.
It's art, man.
A new series of Songbook starts Monday at 9, Sky Arts 1 HD.
Is there anything these locators don't go with? It appears not. Would anybody like to try my soup?
Pumpkins.
At day 5 after the Haiti earthquake, we had 150 people on the ground.
And just one final question, which is about the sort of the role that people play longer term. Do you think that part of the problem in Japan has been that because it is a first world country, you don't have aid agencies like Médecins Sans Frontières with a big operation there because there is no need. Whereas, when an earthquake strikes in Pakistan, the aid agencies have already got a lot of infrastructure in place.
Yeah, it's interesting, although that was also a real Achilles heel in Haiti, where our own infrastructure was destroyed in Port-au-Prince. What we have here, though, is we have an office in Japan that's been recruiting and using doctors for years, so what we're able to draw on are Japanese surgeons and medics and people like that who are already living there, who speak the local language, and are able to be deployed almost immediately.
Okay, Mark Dubois, grateful to you. Thank you very much indeed for speaking to us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our main headlines this evening: an exclusion zone around the Japanese nuclear power plant in Fukushima has been extended following a 4th explosion.
2 people have been killed and more than 200 injured in clashes between anti-government protesters and security forces in Bahrain.
And in Libya, Colonel Gaddafi's forces claim they've seized an important rebel-held town. As fighting continues, government jets are reported to have fired rockets in Ajabia.
Now, let's get up to date with the sports news. Carrie's joined us in the studio. Evening to you.
Evening to you, John. Thank you very much. Well, we start with day 1 of the Cheltenham Festival.